Land by Geetanjali Shree. Translated by Daisy Rockwell.
20. Sid came, looking neither to the right nor the left. He snatched up the cane as if to fly away, then came shooting over to perch on Ma's bed. Wow, Granny, look at this. Flight around in the air, whoosh, swish, swish. Click, 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 click. He opened and closed it, then extended it full length, then closed it all the way up. When it's small, it's a flute. Here, play it. Open it all the way. Slap the scoundrels once or twice on the thin. Smack, twack, tack. Granny, my own. And take this, stretch it out. It's our airplane, Granny. Yours and mine. The cane that flies the sky. Let down your hair, Granny. Stupid. You sit in front, me behind. Let's tour the world. Oh, oh, careful, Buddy cried. It cost 1,000 rupees. Says who? Thundered Bahu. Why are you telling the half price? I bought it for Dadi, Overseas son reminded from the phone. I was the one to suggest she keep it beside her, Bahu informed everyone. There's not a single color missing, I told Ma. Try to find one, boosted Beti. I was the one who explained its potential to her, Burry said in his eldest son tone. That is, everyone claiming the idea came from them, as if the way with all families. But the rainbow? That was where the real idea came from. Oh, the rainbow. Time for my entrance, because I was the one who saw it. If anyone's going to mention the rainbow, it'd have to be me. I won't mention it, of course, but I know because I notice more than others, and I realize more than them. I watched silently, noting who came, who spoke, whose face lit up with what expression, and where the rainbow appeared. Of course, that occurs when I happen to be there by some stroke of chance. Then for sure, I was present at that very moment, and it happened right in front of me. I enter at the rainbow. Now's my chance. I'll tell you all about the rainbow and come leaping across these pages just as it does to shine for a moment. The rainbow glistened in the beer I held for my buddy during that party to which I, too, was invited. When I followed Sid to see his granny in her room, and Sid picked up the cane and started monkeying around. Sid, my buddy, opened the cane and shut it. Snap, crack, pop, and all the butterflies began to flutter about at once. Butterflies, butterflies, everywhere. Wow! Every color swam through the air. Sid's granny was feeling ill from, you guessed it, old age. His grandfather had passed away. The same old story. What will Granny do now? Just lie there? Whenever I saw her, she was taking bed rest. But my friend's funny. His laughter's infectious. The kind of guy who would make a corpse look up from the funeral pyre to see who would laugh so uproariously. I'm not like that. But I'm not here to talk about myself. This isn't my story. There's no need for me here. I'm not even a character. And yet, the page is a stage. Even if someone doesn't belong here, they'll gleefully embrace their moment when handed the tiniest opportunity. Like when an actor says rain in a scene on the stage, and someone like me comes on to demonstrate a stream of rain with a squirt gun. He's supposed to go away after that, but now he's on stage. It takes real discipline to exit again. He stretches the moment out, pulls the trigger on that as long as he can, and waves his arms around a bit to attract the audience attention, and have them stare at him for one glorious moment. Like the old school teacher who was made the private secretary to the chief minister, who belonged to the same caste. For 3 years his destiny glowed as though the full moon shone upon him daily. The private secretary immediately threw himself into every scam in the book. Usury, bribery, lechery, Mercedes-Benz foreign travel, every single type of corruption. He redecorated his home, got his daughter married, got jobs for his son and nephew, and then, when his term was up, he returned, docile as a cow, to the bonds of honesty, poverty, treachery. But as long as he had the opportunity, he played his part on the stage to the hilt, over and over. I'm in the same situation. Why should I let this opportunity pass me by? And so I shall come again to play my part. If you missed the first shot, then take a look at this. But it doesn't suit my ego to come barging in. I'll be ignominiously pushed aside. No one will let me stay for long. It would be better for me to say my few lines before I get kicked out and head into retreat mode. My time on stage will last only a few moments. Enough for me to say this. A rainbow shone. It sparkled. I was the very first to say it. I can't say whether anyone else saw it or not, but I did. We'd just entered the room, glasses of beer in hand. So stuffy I thought Sid picked up the cane and rushed ahead. But his beer didn't spill. May I asked, opening the window. A broken kite hung from the tree outside. The butterflies flew up from the cane. Perhaps the kite wriggled. Sid's granny turned over. She was forced to open her eyes. Get up, Granny, you lazy bones. Are you going to sleep all winter or what? Chill, Winter, chill. Sid propped up her pillow, sat down next to her, and began to sing a song about taking a trip on a cane into the sky. Enough, zzz, zzz. The chorus an imitation of her snoring. He hugged her, struck a pose with the cane. If there's a pose, well then, time for a photo. Who will take it? Yours truly. So I took out the mobile. Who should I give the beer glass to? I gave it to Sid. So Sid put his own glass in Granny's hand. Naughty girl, drinking beer. Quick, take the photo. No, no. Sid's granny made some noo-noo type noises and sort of smiled and up it jumped. The rainbow, that is. I saw it myself. Colors leapt from the kite or from the butterflies. The rainbow jumped up and dove into Granny's glass, where it rippled, and from there it twinkled in Granny's eyes. Rainbow here, rainbow there, rainbows, rainbows everywhere. And the one reflected in the eyes the most sparkly of all. It's all captured in the photo. Here, the rainbow. There, the reflection. Believe, don't believe. Come and see the photo yourself. What more can I say? I can't say more because I can't become a character in this story. But I was also at the party. Well, it wasn't just any party, more like a feast to remember. Everyone came, myself included, and I was the witness to the rainbow. That's why I have said so much. But now, my time's up. I take a bow and leave these pages. Whatever comes next won't be said by me. 21. Breath is like a tiny bug. When it begins to disappear, it's a tiny wisp of a gasp that wriggles free between the gusts of air and the fierce winter chills, and all the powerful ins and outs of the breaths of everyone around, and escapes like a bug. The little bug burrows into elderly Ma, who lies perfectly still in her bed, trying to squeeze into the hole to escape all the huffing, puffing breaths coming behind her. Just like in holes, the deeper you go, the wider they open. The bug-like breath a chisel, chipping away at its own suffocation, thus creating the hole so that it can pierce the darkness and let there be light. And it will get a puff of air and light. And if it finds water anywhere, a colorful arc will form. A colorful arc? What's that? A bow of rain. A rainbow? It wasn't the last supper, but it was the last lunch, an affair to remember. The sun had received a special invitee that day to appear in all his splendor. These were the final days of winter, and the last days before Buddy's retirement. This moment would surely add luster to the golden-hued radiance of the sun. After this luncheon, only his slenderest rays would be so blessed. After leaving his house, he would hang suspended in the dusty sky, while the blackened air, heavy as iron, would dash about like a put-putting scooter scattering his rays hither and thither amongst the city's buildings, jams, and traffic jams. And only a handful of stragglers would notice these rays and guess at his full splendor, and their hearts would be gladdened. But there were still a few days left on his lawn. Amongst these chrysanthemums, so pretty please do come, O Sun King, O Surya Maharaj. The sun rarely spurns invitations from outgoing civil servants. He must know that the officers will go to great lengths to ensure that this will be a party the likes of which no previous officer could ever have dreamt. Such fragrances will waft, such laughter will burble, such adornment of bodies there will be. There will be gardens, tables, and chairs, and servants attired in Mughal-style garb. My brilliance will burst forth with such force upon witnessing all this, the earth-dwellers can hardly imagine what I shall do. I shall pick up some tasty morsels in my fingers, soften them in my heat, envelop them in my warm breath, and thus I too will enjoy some of the delicacies. In my sunfire style. I need neither bite nor chew. I merely inhale. So the sun dropped everything he was doing, leaving God knows how much of the world in darkness, and came to enthrone himself with his orchestra, fireworks, all sorts of marvels on display, cascading from the branches like waterfalls, burbling down the walls like a river, flaring up between the leaves like torches, blazing like lamps along the branches, flaring and sparking, and gyrating across the neem leaves like Catherine wheels, and up to his mischief in the sky too, now giving the curly locks on the clouds a golden cast, now causing them to ripple, or dressing them in spinning skirts sewn together with yellow luminescence, then grabbing hold of their hands and swiftly twirling them about until they burst out with golden cries of delight. And if the people below couldn't hear, it was only because the soft green grass they wandered over was itself undulating in golden waves, causing a couple of ladies in high heels and gents in designer shoes to lurch about, and perhaps the rest did not stumble, but were toddling along under the influence of something altogether different. The chrysanthemums bounced about like footballs, heedless of where they went, whether they would live or die. Would they be crammed into flower pots in a flat, or remain showy princes in the garden of the next officer? Supremely unconcerned about anything else, they focus solely on the splendid occasion, as they bend over the passing trays, and wink and flirt as though a few bites, a few sips, are just for them. And even on this day, efforts are underway to get up Ma. Oh, tell Ma the sun is out! And what a party it was! The date was immortalized in government files for evermore. What a last lunch Buddy gave! Anyone was there. Government employees, new and old, big wigs from the princely states, such as the Nawab Bahadur of Mamdut, or the Maharaja of Drangadhara, and also mill owners such as Bhagelu Ram, and petrol pump wala, and film personalities such as Nadia Ashrafi and Panchu Kumar, and writer newspaper types such as Tutu Goldie and Barbara Chatri, and scores of other very important people as well. They say it was such a memorable party. Every year, new folks add themselves to the list of attendees. Those who missed it suffer from an inferiority complex, and in order to save face are forced to lie about their attendance. True, there were some about whom it was publicly known they couldn't attend, such as senior retired officer in the customs department who at the time of the party had gone to take possession of her new Bali home. She already had homes all over the world, one in Goa, one in Kalangute, one in Gaduad, village in Gazipur, one in Peru, one in Massachusetts, in the jungle, where if there's a knock on the door and you open it, you'll find a bear standing before you, palms pressed together, head bowed, begging you to invite him in and feed him honey. A home in the French Alps, in Gorbio, one somewhere by the sea in Denmark, one in Hungary, one in Edmonton, Canada, one in the south by a temple, one in South America near a lost but not extinct tribe, and perhaps a handful more in various other places. But the call from Bali just had to come at that particular moment, and on an international matter. And so, what if you are from customs? You simply must comply. But everyone else was present, and happiness was at its peak, because where there is clout, there is a queue. But if you lose the first, the second is quick to follow. At that time, everyone was swaying about Bare's lawn. The whole atmosphere was asway. The flowers winked, the clouds dallied, the leaves waltzed, the grass grooved, the people rocked. The sun tinted the clouds. Tell Ma the flowers are in bloom. Things got a bit out of hand when the crockery and pottery, that is, the pots and pans, began to wink, and to fall too. The servants were scolded. Are you sneaking sips of the beer as you serve? In the wake of dancing leaves, grooving grass, prancing sunlight, the leaping, breezing barrel in like a band of small girls, playing all about Bare's home, snapping and scolding and lurching about, stopping here and there, but resting on no one in particular. Aha, aha, what fun! Dancing, singing, conversation. Open Amma's window. And what aromas! A row of stalls lined one side of the lawn. Chinese, chaat, burgers, pasta, barbecue, mushroom, potato, capsicum, seekh kebab, onions, reshmi kebab, pineapple, puri, kachori, filled with tomatoes, peas, dal, pulao, palak paneer, mutton, chicken, fresh fish, jackfruit, aloo dum, parwal stuffed bitter gourd, dosa, idli, uttappam, made of rava, rice and suji, pizza corner, pav bhaji corner, salad and fruit separate, food of every type. In such a heady atmosphere, what need for the sort of buzz that comes in bottles? But this is the age of excess, and the home of a very important officer too. So in this arena too there is plenty. Chilled beer, gin, Sprite, fruit juice, vodka, white wine, rose red wine, pomegranate red, bright red, even topaz red, cola, Pepsi, lassi, shikanji, jaljeera, twinkle, winkle, sparkle, farkle. And the jalebis, imartis, balushahis sizzle and dance in the karahi. Ice cream, cream buruli kulfi, tiramisu, gulab jamun, souffle, water lily seed kheer, sweet potato kheer, rice kheer, halwa, moong dal and carrot, shahi tukde, cake, malpue, pastry, papad, pakoda, chutney, sauce dips, pickle. How much should one enumerate? Have you come here to eat or make lists? But nothing compares to the topic of food from that away, from where they used to grow roses. Such amusing battles cropped up between Bade and Bahu. Everyone had to laugh. It's just that the spousal joshing could turn to anger at any moment. Bade was from the east, his wife from the west. If he asked for bharbara, makuni, tikkar, guramma, she would make jardoi, fajita, matgunya, and on one occasion it came to such a head when the wife modernized the recipe of her in-laws' home and came up with a sattu, barley flour milkshake. Sacrilege. Unthinkable. Tadamma's feet towards the sunlight. Thankfully, no one attacked anyone at the last luncheon. and Bade did his home region proud by smugly flying the flag of his beloved regional dish, bati chokha. Around this station gathered the most well-heeled crowd of all, and how could it not attract a throng of rootless urbanites? How many of them had ever seen mango tree in mango country, let alone clusters of green mangoes hanging on branches? They didn't even know how to pronounce bati chokha. Behind the house, where the lawn petered out on its way to the vegetable garden, a bit of a brush had been cleared, and it was here that embers of cow dung cakes were burning in a metal container with batis baking on top. On a large plate nearby sat the bati stuffing, the coarse grained flour in unique Eastern UP Bihar style pickle made from large red chilies, crushed and mixed with garlic and salt. The crowd watches as Yadavji forms the dough into balls. He fills them with the pickle mixture and places them on the dung patties to bake. As he shapes the dough, he stops to flip the baking batis with the tongs. Everyone's watching Yadavji as he bakes the batis, fans the flame, and flips them. Everyone watches as the magic unfolds. Once the batis are cooked, Yadavji plucks them up with the tongs and brushes off the dusting of ash that settle on them. He dips them into the fragrant cow milk ghee in nearby pot. The sun recognizes his own hues in the shimmering ghee. Yadavji places the ghee-rich batis on a tray. As he cooks, everyone oohs and ahs and wahs as though offering cries of praise at the poetry recitation. As Yadavji serves the ghee-dipped batis in leaf bowls with bengan bharta, all the women reach out their hands. I'm eating this even if it turns me into a football. Bursts of laughter erupt on all sides. Yadavji smiles and hands a bowl of fresh, hot bati to the next one. Yadavji has travelled all the way from a far-off village to give the lunch party batis extra pizzas at the feast of his eldest son's boss. That is Bade. Bade had got Yadavji's eldest son a job in the railways, and now he too goes to visit him on occasion and stays in the government quarters with his son. Everyone longs for government employment. Chaprasi, constable, typist, babu, driver, gardener, anything, so long as it's in a government office. Then you can breathe a sigh of relief for the rest of your life. You'll get training, education, take out a loan to reach your goal. So there was Yadavji, but there were also generations of the faithful here, whose parents, or their parents, or whose children, or their children, or they themselves, Bade or his forebears, had helped secure the lucky charm of government work. Like Vilas Ram and his wife Rupa, he had been 10 years old when he came fleeing from the mountains, having failed time and again to gain employment at Bade's place. He finally passed class 10, a necessary requirement for a government job, and after snivelling for years under Bade's patronage, slipping into his home respectfully, wearing a cap, all the while getting older, he was given a permanent position in the CAG office after a few years on temporary status. He went back to his village at one point and got married. The next time he went, he returned with Rupa, and after that he produced 2 or 3 sons without needing to go to the village, and they would arrive at Bade's home at all hours of need, that is, both their need and Bade's, and when it came for the last lunch, they simply had to be there. Then there was also Paltu, Genda's husband, who had gone to the atomic energy guest house where Bade had had him hired as the gardener. Every week he would bring them bouquets, gladioli, tuberoses, sweet peas, carnations, you name it, which were arranged in the vases of the house, as per Madam's, that is Bahu's wishes. And Kanteram, who was Vilas Ram's uncle, had come to the city to search for the runaway boy, and then never returned, because he saw his own future was here too. Bade, due to being a government official, even after losing village, Ganga, roses, opium, attar, was everyone's Zille Subhani, their shadow of God, their great provider. A crowd would queue up in his darbar, their request and paper slips writ large on their faces. Please, set this one up somewhere. Get this one enrolled at such and such. Have this one's illness looked into. This one's promotion is stalled. Get it moving again. And this one had a false report entered at his police station. Please save him. If you just put in a word Sahibji to the chief engineers that paints his sir in the what and what municipal department. If you just give him a call. The medical superintendent knows you. They need a guard there. Ratilai came running back twice, once from the DD's place where he was hired on the recommendation of Bade, who said go anyway and do as they say, and soon as they can they will admit you into the police. But for now he had been placed as a sweeper at the police lines, which he found intolerable. And the second time he came back because he had been put to work in the private publishing house of the police officer's son as an odd jobbler, ferrying paper and books, etc. Just do this for the time being. But he explained that the whole province was under the DT. One of these days he would have him admitted into the police. But Rathilai was not sure. He slept comfortably alongside all the other policemen on a bed with a quilt spread over him. Got buttery roti, mutton, chicken to eat, but this is private. I want a government job, and only that. Please make it governmental. Even if the salary is less than this, it must happen. Otherwise, what's wrong with Bare's home? He is from our village, after all. He belongs to our caste. When Ratilai's daughter came to the bungalow holding her mother's hand on holidays, she called Bare Papa and Bahu Mummy, and they didn't mind at all. He will get him hired somewhere. Until then, he can just do odd jobs. He can help look after the grandparents. He'll do everything, inside, outside the house, running all about. Go ask about this at the electrical house. Take this to the telephone office. Go get milk and eggs. Tie this up with twine. Cook the vermicelli. Put the keys in the locks. Sell the newspapers to the rubbish collector. Roast the corn. Wrap it up and bring it nice and hot. Take down the trunks. Put the heater up. Could you massage my toes? Here. Would you mind oiling my hair? Make wicks for the clay lamps. Scrub the puja dishes with ash and bring them here. One will do everything, and whatever is left, I'll do that too. And one day for sure they'll get me a government roost. For you, Bade sir, are the protector of all. So many, oh how many, you have settled well in their lives and careers. And there were also all those who addressed Bade with sundry kinship terms. Oh uncle, brother, nephew, son, brother-in-law, child, I'm your brother, father, nephew, brother-in-law, beseeching his help. You must do this for me. You have to do this for me. Now if we get started on these two, this topic will never come to an end. This was what motivated all who were there, who had come with love from wherever they had been installed. They came to bow and scrape. Atomic and Water Boards, BSF AG officers, the Collectorate, Health, Water, Disability Departments, Finance, Commerce, Popular Administration, and on and on and so on and so forth. And their bosses too, who were making a double use of their own servants, with a move this out of the way, boy, here, and a Garbar Singh, bring me a beer here. It should thus be understood that a single strand connected all the guests and helpers taking part in the party, which resonated with every single demand, command, reprimand. There were as many helpers as there were guests. Bare's home was a Ronak Mahal, a palace of merriment, and the door stood open for all who wished to enter, be it air, aroma, folks, serving dishes, and inside they would find Kali Charan roasting Kashmiri spices, or Nandan Singh moving ice, dahi bada, and all sorts of other chilled things from the fridge, or Sushila, Kanteram's daughter-in-law, washing and drying the fine glassware, along with Leelavati, her mother-in-law. Even Kanteram's wife has arrived today, despite the crippling pain in her leg. But when you see her, she is seated, her leg propped up, bossing everyone around. Kripa Shankar is arranging crystal mugs on a tray, and Lal too will fill them with beer. What to say? And if one starts, where to stop? Because no one is in a hurry. But late in the afternoon, heading in towards evening, people will begin to consider getting up to go, and then they'll have to stop by the pan stall where Banarsi or Magai or sweet leaves are washed in mineral water, then dried. Then, if we describe this entire process now, then what to leave out, such as the slaked lime, gulkand, supari, cardamom, cloves, peppermint, licorice, kimam, chewing tobacco. Really, there is no end. Absolutely everything was available. But today's round, it bears repeating, was won by Yadavji's bhatis. So much laughter bubbles up around him that a woman who usually keep their lips pursed so they won't develop wrinkles now grin from ear to ear, laughing openly, their smile lines deepening and here to stay, which means all mouths were open wide, wrinkles outstretched. Shift Amma's head towards the window. Even the foreigner has been defeated by the Bhatis, his country, his culture, everything about him. Foreigners have been purposefully overlooked so far. They are white. The West, if you have them around, it becomes all about them because the world is their oyster. They are the ones who are creating it and destroying it. But everyone sees them as the creators. The rest are perceived as the destroyers because they, the West, are the center and the origin story is set by the center. The rest are the rest. The kite, the decimal point, T, the zero, typing, gunpowder, all come from over here, but only when they reach the West did they make their debut in the world. All the hues come from the rest, black, brown, yellow, but the uncolored, not the colored, came to be considered the one true color. The West and the rest, the former are reality, the latter dull, drab, worthless. Memory comes from them, forgetting from them too. They had forgotten ancient Greece, which they considered the origin of their thinking, for centuries and centuries. It was the Arabs who enshrined that memory in their own treasury of knowledge. Otherwise, how else would the West have experienced the Renaissance? But it happened, and it took place in the West. So the Arabs ended up becoming the rest as well. But why drag animosity and hostility into this last lunch? It was the good fortune of the foreigners that the sun fell upon their locks. So all that came were warmly welcomed. And after all, there will always be foreigners at such parties. Go ahead and be enchanted by the sight of them, but at least don't let them become the best right now. Why bother to list their names? Allow them to buzz about in the sunlight amongst the tents of snacks, sweets, and other delicacies. Let their eyes pop out like the bhātis they goggle at, as they wonder at this marvel, crying, "Amazing! What is this miracle?" And let them feel the spice and excitement on their tongues. One such white person, that is, a colorless, a color-free individual, had arrived with Beti, name of Arild. But since the absence of color is considered the most considerable color, he drew the winning score. Everyone greeted him warmly. The sun entwined with his golden hair, and as he wasn't wearing any glasses, his blue eyes glittered. Wow, how lovely! Wow, how amazing! Wow, how yummy! He kept saying, and the people who greeted him kept hold of his hand extra long and laughed loudly. Come see, Ma. Where are you from, bhai? Someone asked at the beginning of the party. No, not like that, like this. Where do you hail from, brother? And then other people started asking, where is Iceland anyway? Is that Eskimo land? But where? No, no, not Eskimo land. But also, actually, Eskimos are Inuits and live in Greenland, some of them. Then who is from your land? Nature. And you? We are the useless grasses and weeds that have grown up amidst it. Water, volcano, rocks. Those are the citizens. Understand? Rocks. That's what we have in our country. We have everything in our country. Bade took up the baton of hostliness. Anything you can think of, any religion, any animal, any fruit or vegetable, any natural creation, any misfortune, be it McDonald's or an illness, any dishonesty, manifold, multifaceted, abundant, even an abundance of deprivation, of timelessness, of starvation, of floods of joy, of fun. Betty also laughed. She began to take part in the game as well. Name anything in any corner of the world, we have got it here. Ice, sea, kiwi, strawberry, blue ice, mangoes. Mangoes! Body's wife took up the thread at mangoes. This was everyone's hobby horse. All things in the world on one side, mangoes by themselves on the other. The mango contains multitudes. Any long list of things could be substituted with a list of mango types just as long. Ah, yes, the mango. All foreigners present bow their heads in respect. Oh, mangoes, how we love thee! Shall we count the ways? A chorus of voices rose at the party like the cries of bettors in gambling den. Daseri, Chausa, ask Major some other names. Totapari, Langra, Rathaul, Badami, Ratnagiri, Amrapali, Sinduri, Fazli, Neelam, Desi, Kishanbhog, and that most pale and white of all the mangoes, the Safeda. Let me, ha ha ha, ha. The foreigner must have known that every country has its openness, be it regarding attire or witticism. So he thought, before anyone else does it, I'll just make fun of myself. Yes, like you, said Beatty, with a chuckle. Today no one needed to avoid anyone else's gaze. On the contrary, today even her baggy, saggy clothing had its place. She was an odd duck for the folk of such gatherings, but at the same time she was a world traveller and someone who appeared at swanky dinners. Today she wore a beige and turmeric batik lungi, a blue and black floral Rajasthani kurta, and a purple and red striped dupatta slung sloppily over the whole thing in an inelegant manner, tied at the waist at one end, flung over her shoulder on the other. It was neither Eastern attire, nor Punjabi, nor a sari, nor anything else recognizable. No matching colors, no interesting mismatch. But she had with her a white friend who wore an expensive suit boot tie, and that boosted her status. His acceptance of her made her well accepted. The two of them had just returned from Bhogau, where they had been researching something about the education of girls in traditional families that they planned to write about. What exactly, no one understood, but they did learn that the market for the education of girls these days are hot. Everyone went on with hilarity about Bhogau as they had about Iceland. What God-forsaken place is that? And where on the globe? Across that oceans? And why on earth are you going there? And who on earth goes to Bhogau? And there was much merriment at the unfamiliar and funny name of the place. Bhogau? Ha ha ha! So ridiculous! It sounds like a curse word. Now please do tell me, said someone handing a real sambati on a leaf plate. Do you have a bhogao where you are from? Ah, but we have one here. And do you have bati? Because we do. No, Ariel admitted defeat. A wonderful sport. He rolled his trousers to the knee and squatted down, garnering much praise that he was able to sit like us. He squatted down next to Yadavji, and soon he too was making and serving batis, and the laughter at the foreign chef enthroned in the garden echoed all the way to the street. But Ma just lay there, her back utterly disenchanted with all the blasted merriment. The door does not dance. Everything passes through it. People air color, laughter, sunlight, flies, aroma gnats, dust, moths, bits of intoxication, snatches of conversation, flotsam, jetsam. Door wide open. Standing perfectly quiet, still, placidly cool for centuries. It sees all, hears all, understands the heads and tails of things with no head or tail at all. Those who hear for only a moment don't understand the context, and in this atmosphere they don't even care to. And in this age, what's hard to understand is not worth struggling with. But the door does not see with superficial narrowed vision. It recognizes the unpresent. It is experienced, sagacious, solid, learned. Ravi Shankar had been playing inside. Someone's wife found him depressing, so now it was Shammi Kapoor. Ay ay ya, Sukhu Sukhu. And then at some point that turned into Sufi Qawwali. But when Sid and his gang changed the music again and put on earth-shattering dance music, everyone gets up and starts to dance. It all started with Never Repeat Saloni Sundar, the young at heart ex-wife of the ex-governor. She always wears saris, and everyone always says they could swear they had never seen her wear the same one more than once. Such mentions are a code understood by those in the know, while everyone else wonders what they are whispering and giggling about. For example, the moment they encounter Brigadier Totaram Jhapota, or just at the mere mention of his name, they immediately start the usual conversation that even when asleep he is dressed in crisply pressed trousers and shirt, a belt cinched around the waist of the one and a tie around the collar of the other. And anyone who has arrived suddenly at his home in the dead of the night has confirmed this. But there is a disagreement as to whether or not he takes off his polished lace-up shoes to go to bed. Then someone will say that he even wears pressed underwear and doesn't take that off either. And as always, someone must interject. But look, he does have 4 kids. At which someone else will chortle. Stop it, there are children present. Hush, hush. And the children, wondering nearby, feign complete innocence, deafness at the insinuations, etc. Thus passed the afternoon, ready to go on until evening melted into night, and still ready for more, as if the lamps must burn in every color until dawn. Shama har rang mein jalti hai seher hone tak. There is nothing but love and affection, camaraderie, amiability, affability between everyone. No complaints or accusations. The host, the guests, gentlefolk, bathing in fountains of sunlight, jostling together, but no one crying. Get out of my way! No one higher than any other, or lower. No, this is yours, this is mine. Shabby fashion, too, is fashion these days. New York and Paris styles are glamorous as ever, and everyone said, wow, what a lunch party! So exciting! And thrilling conversations and endless eagerness about Ma getting up. Get Ma up! Ooh, where are you getting the mustard oil from? It's Amma's room, ask her. Put sugarcane juice in my gin. Give some to Amma. Will she drink gin? I only drink such a mixture if it's organic. Amma will say yes. Give us the chrysanthemums when you leave. He'll get an Australian passport, but it's not as though he's forgotten us. He calls every day. That one, meaning overseas son, looks after his mom. This one, meaning Buddy, after his ma. Ma is snoring softly, real or fake. No one knows for sure these days. Finding her sleeping, but when they enter the room, they tiptoe away again. She's sleeping. Let her sleep. But she sleeps all the time. She doesn't want to do anything. Buddy is worried about the checkbook. Every time they need to sign her, something they have to get her up. He should tell Sid to get her signature on several checks at once. Invest money judiciously, otherwise it will just rot in the bank. Ma doesn't bother with all this. She's not into it at all. But she's not into anything. That's the problem. Poor thing. Ever since Papa introduced her to the blue-eyed fellow. No, no, let her be. Tell her Maksu's here, then she'll get up. Oh, come now, she won't sit up for anybody's name. She's in a deep sleep. Listen to her snoring, like she's whistling. Urgent announcement. Everyone please take an aloe vera plant before leaving. Give me chrysanthemums, they'll be better for my health. Pour whiskey into your ear, all the dirt will rise to the top. Drunk. Did you put in Amma's eardrops? You take care of everything. Men think they are doing it. Could he have done anything of it without you? I'll dance on one condition, that I get a turn with each of the ladies. Are we planning to stay here till dawn, or what? Tell her Madhusudan wants to see her, then she'll get up. She won't get up, she just lies there. Bhai, your jalebis are amazing, but your sandals are even better. It's herbal, it won't do any damage. Sandals? Herbal? They live in an old folks' home. Those days are coming here too. There was a monkey lying dead in the water tank. Since then we have been getting Bisleri. He's Pakistani, which is a very non-herbal. It'll be good if they come. Our children are not going to take care of us like this. Even if they want to, their partners will put up a fight. You really take good care of your mother, bhai. What floor is the flat on? They are laughing, the dancing couples. Second, where will you put the chrysanthemums? Tiny little balcony. There isn't a lift. So where will Auntie go? Meaning Bare's mother, Akama. She'll climb up slowly, but the chrysanthemums? Where else will she go but with us? There's only us to take charge of her. Who else will take the responsibility? Meaning Bare's mother. Not all the servants will go. We'll end up being the servants, what else? But anyway, your family members keep coming, that helps. To gobble up all the food. They bring their friends as well. They conveniently feel like family when they come for a visit, but otherwise they are modern and alone. She never gets out of bed. Why would she need to go down the stairs? Pare's mother. My son gave her such a lovely cane, but she won't get up. The door is silent, resolute, watching, listening to everyone. The back has its back to all. The cane lies still. Sid has shown off its trick today as well. What he hasn't shown is that it can be lifted up and held straight, outstretched in the air like a tree. But who knows where ideas come from and when.